Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my show Computer Wednesday. In today's episode, we're gonna discuss a very interesting topic: how the heck do you select a printer for your use case? I have already made a video, but it flopped very horribly, and everybody started asking me the question like which printer is good for me. So I'm trying to do this again, and this time I want to explain how do you select a printer for you. Not like don't ask anyone, just like because nobody knows you, nobody knows your use case scenario, nobody knows your budget scenario and all that. So nobody can help you. So you have to figure it out yourself. So how do we do that? Well, first thing you will come across is basically ink tank. Do not buy cartridge. If you buy cartridge, may God rest, keep whatever. So I can't help you in that. So buy ink tank. Now okay, in this scenario you might think, okay, let's say take three major example: S Pen, Canon and HP. Are they all the same? Well, no, I'm just talking about the ink tank system, basically the ability to buy ink and pour it into the printer. That are dramatically different in between these three. Now in generation 1, when this ink tank started to catch on around 2015, they were very simple system. They were just like you open the bottle and you poured it. Now S Pen started this whole trend, and S Pen started to create what we call generation 2 bottles. Now this is quite amazing, simply because it solved all the issue with hassles that were related to ink system. So what you have to do is like basically open the cap. Here's the deal: ink will not spill. Like let's say you open the cap and you are doing like this, it will not spill down. So what you have to do is basically lock it down to the ink tank. Now here's the interesting part: they are color basically physically coded to each other. So you buy magenta ink, it will only go into magenta slot. If you try to put it into yellow slot, it will first not fit, second it will not leak ink. So in those sort of scenario you cannot mess this up. So it's quite amazing. And even when you are filling it up, let's say your ink was drained and you put magenta into magenta, and you're like, okay, now I have to look it like, when it's filling. No, you don't have to. You just go, take drink tea or something like that. It will automatically stop filling once it's full. So you don't have to do anything. So it's quite amazing. Basically you cannot mess this up unless you want to break it. So quite amazing. Now my last video I said like this is the main reason why I was recommending S Pen, because it's a quote unquote idiot proof or children proof. So other companies already had more or less something like this, but they were not implemented in India. However, now you can buy Canon printers which have similar sort of technology, because the older version of Canon, I have provided a video down below where you have to like pour the ink. Basically you had to pour the ink, and that was very messy and risky. So what Canon can do right now is like you put the ink tank directly there, and there is an air tube inside, so that will automatically fill it up and stop when it's done. Same with HP's second generation. So that is why all the ink tanks are not the same. S Pen is the best. Second best is basically HP and Canon. And if you buy something older version, either from S Pen or from any of these manufacturers, be mindful. You have to be extra careful, because people generally don't make a mistake when they are refilling black, but they do make a mistake basically when you are filling cyan, magenta and yellow. And if you want to make sure that even a child can do this, best system. So again, these are the difference. Again, if you are very careful, you are very thorough kind of person, it does not matter. It's just like you are like, yeah, I will buy an older one because now it's cheaper. So that's the ink tank itself. So ink tank goes from the easiest to the messiest. Now another aspect would be like the first thing you will think about, like, okay, I want to buy a printer. Only two options you have: ink tank or laser. Now in olden days, basically before 2015, the answer was very simple. If you had to do actual printing, don't even think about ink tank, ink system. Basically it was just too much, like per page cost, basically per page how much you have to spend was too damn high. Laser was obviously superior at that time. However, that price advantage has gone away now. So right now you can print a color page. I'm talking about like color A4 sheet using ink tank on like a few pennies, less than few pennies. So at this point in time, the money advantage that laser printer used to have, it's gone. So please be mindful. If you are thinking about buying a laser printer, you're thinking, okay, it would be cheaper than ink. It won't be. Ink tank flat out reduced that, removed that advantage. Heck, many of the ink laser systems are more expensive than ink tank. Now, not by too much. It won't be like, okay, in ink tank you can print like one page for 10 cents, and here you can print one page for $1. It would be like 10 cents versus 12 cents. So please be mindful. Check the toner price, because toners are very expensive. Now okay, if the price advantage is gone, and generally ink tanks produces a higher quality photo pictures, and they are far more versatile, because most of the laser is basically monochromatic. Why the heck people will buy laser printer? One of the primary reason for laser printer is basically it's faster. Think of it this way: you are in a scenario where you have to print out invoices. Basically you are in a toll booth and you have to print out invoices. Time is of the essence, because if you slow down because of your printer, the whole road will jam up. Same goes with any industrial enterprise. So in those sort of scenario, time is money. In those sort of scenario, the fact that best ink tank can do is around 10 pages per minute in black and white color. Best case scenario is like 6. Now in even black and white monochromatic laser printer starts at like 15 pages per minute. That's a dramatic improvement, and that means 15 full pages per minute done. It's quite fast. Now you can go even higher than that, like enterprise printers can reach as high as 50 pages per minute. And this printer, the brother printer, reaches around 24 pages per minute. And you have to understand, both of these printers that I'm showing, they are color printers also, as in, so, and they do not slow down if you are printing color. So that is the core advantage nowadays. So that is the main thing. Okay, laser is faster. Now then the question becomes, is time that valuable to you? So let's say you are buying a laser printer just for the time. Will you get anything else? Absolutely. Laser printers are generally built for enterprise, office and all that, so they generally have very less bells and whistles, but they are generally built to last. To give you a context of that, if you buy an ink tank printer, be it from Aspen, be it from Canon, generally they are meant to last around like in terms of warranty, they are meant for like 30,000 page to 50,000 page in a year. These puppy, the cheapest laser printer that I could find, cheapest color laser printer I could find, they are meant for around 30,000 pages in a month. Let that sink in. Like this printer can produce that much paper that will wear down the warranty of your ink tank system. So that is the another aspect. Laser printer are built as a workhorse equipment. They are like a tool that you buy and forget. It's like, yeah, it will keep working. Now again, it does not mean it does not require maintenance or toner or drum and all that. Like again, those things will also wear out over time, but they are meant for much higher workload. So if you are like in a school or university institute or things of that nature, where you have to print out, like, let's say, whole question papers, and you want to randomize questions in every question paper, so only way to do that is printer, because you can photocopy it for very low price, but every question paper will be the same. But you want to make sure all the question paper are randomized, you have to rely on something like this. And these are on the low end. Like these are the lowest end that I could find. There are higher end versions that can print at like around 100 pages a minute. Yes, 100 pages a minute again, but those are ludicrously expensive. They are used for enterprise. So that is the reason people buy laser printers. Like, you need the speed. If you need the speed, go with laser. And generally, it's far more reliable than ink tank systems. So these are the two core reasons. Now, these printer, be mindful, check the toner price. They are now expensive than ink tank. Now, another aspect of printers is that how much you're going to actually utilize it. Many people buy printer and they never utilize it, and it's quite common. And this is the primary reason why printers got such a bad reputation. Is I wanted to print it, it was just jammed, because ink is a liquid form, so it sometimes dry out. So when it happens, and if it happens in the cartridge level, basically where the print heads are, yeah, it will jam the print head. So you have to understand this. If you are not printing more than 100 pages per month, do not buy it. Yes, 100 pages per month. And if you have good printing service around you, like I had Printo in my Bangalore place, and it was like a few minutes away. Like they can print me like a full A3 borderless printing for a very cheap price. And I'm talking color A3, basically bigger brother of A4. So in those sort of scenario, you have to understand that. Like if you're not printing too much, do not buy a printer. Like spend that money somewhere else. Like flat out, it would be cheaper for you. Then we come to the basic home that has let's say a lot of kids, and dad has a lot of users, mom has a lot of users. In those sort of scenario, you would be around 20,000 pages a year. And if that number sounds large, yeah, it is. Printers are not meant for printing 5 pages or 6 pages. And because of the business strategy that has changed from cartridge based, basically where the printers was super cheap, but company was making their money back from ink. For this reason, because once they have introduced an ink tank, the printer cost is more or less same. Printer cost is not high. It's just that ink is now cheaper. So that way they made the cost of printer much more expensive. So printer should be only 2-3% more expensive compared to ink tank versus cartridge. But because they want to make again profit, they are like, okay, printer will be expensive, ink will be cheaper. So in those sort of scenarios, you have to understand, even the cheapest printer in India is around 5,000 rupees or something like that, ink tank wise. That is basically a lot of money. You can get a lot of printing done in a year with that much money. So that is why I'm saying, unless you have a lot of prints, do not even bother about it. Now, because the printer became so expensive, nobody was buying it. So companies started to add extra features into the printer. Basically, they started adding wireless function. They started to add scanners and all that. But again, you have to understand this. This is the cheapest scanner they could find. They put it in here. So again, if you are doing basic things, not an issue. But if you want to do, let's say, scan old photos and all that, and you want the best quality possible, it's not best, good enough, because they are generally limited to 600 dpi. And if you want to print, scan something, let's say at 2000 dpi, some documents that you are scanning that must be scanned to last detail. In those sort of scenario, you want to buy a proper scanner. And sometimes, let's say you are in an office scenario, like I was in the case of a hospital. There was an office that was solely dedicated to prescribing, basically digitizing all the doctor basically prescription. Now problem with that is prescription is written on both sides. Generally doctor will write on one side, and once it's over it will write on the second side, so they need a scanner. Now these scanners are generally one-sided. If you buy a dedicated scanner, it's quite cheap that you can buy a dual side scanner with automatic document filter. So please be mindful, like this is cheap and best. If you want a dedicated scanner, generally dedicated scanner would be a better equipment if you want to do volume scanning. So, and generally for office, people don't recommend ink tanks, even though price wise it's quite competitive and many people have bought it and successfully used it. But the fact is, you want what we classify as uptime. Basically you want your printer to be up and it want to be print the first page out as quickly as possible. So in flat out speed and reliability, lasers are generally far more reliable. Now again, you could find 10,000 reviews on Amazon. It's like, yeah, I bought the laser, it did not work. That would be generally related to defective products. Now, large office have a completely dedicated section. You do not talk about okay, I'm gonna buy this or buy that. Large, if you want have something where you're printing 1,000 pages a day, you have a completely different section, which are classified as generally office jet. Now these are far more expensive. You have to understand that part. But again, they are meant for that kind of workload. Do not if this printer is meant for 30,000 pages a year, and if you're pushing it to that level, 30,000 pages a year, there is a very good chance it will break before that. So it's not meant for that. So if you want 30,000 pages a year, you will buy a printer that can do 50,000 a year. Then you can be far more comfortable. Yeah, it will do that. So that is the whole point. Most people don't need printers, and if you have printer, you have to utilize it. Now there are certain pitfalls, so I'm creating a warning section. Pay attention to this one. Generally biggest complaint that you will see in all around Amazon is that people think they have wireless printer, they put it in some corner and it's not working. Why is that? Basically you have to understand, this is the antenna size of a printer. That's it. Very thin copper traces. So, and you can compare that to your router. Routers have giant antenna, sometimes 1 foot long antenna. So flat out, because of the antenna being so small and because of the fact that people keep it in a corner, it generally does not work. So if you want to utilize wireless function, you have two options. Put your printer someplace where it has access to everything. Basically, if you are printing from bedroom, just put it in next to the bedroom. Don't put it in a storeroom. So in those sort of scenario, you can improve the quality of your wireless network, or you can do something far more practical, which generally people do with enterprise equipment. Have Ethernet. Just use the Ethernet to your router, and router can act as a printer server. You can find thousands of video tutorial about how to do this, and most router nowadays have a printer server built into it, even a USB one. So even if your printer does not support what you call Ethernet printing, you can just utilize the USB. So that is the first thing you have to understand. Even though they are giving wireless, it's not the best in class. Now, borderless printing. Now, this is very interesting. Most of the people have stopped printing photos. So photos are losing their value. You ask someone show me a photo 1 year ago, they don't. We have to print photos in order it to last. So people generally want borderless printing because photo papers are expensive, and if you're buying A4 photo papers, you don't want whole 5mm area to be not used. That you have to cut it out, otherwise your photo will look very weird. It will be it has a white frame around it. So in those sort of scenario, people want borderless printing. Now borderless printing, every company can do borderless. It's just what size it can do. So can it do borderless printing in A3? Can it do borderless printing in legal paper? Can it do borderless printing in A4? So please check the damn manual, and that's the final point. 100% of your question will be answered if you spend the time to read the manual, and the manuals are generally not big, and all you have to focus on certain things is basically warranty aspect, because warranty aspect have two data points into it. Data point number 1 is the time which they print on the boxes, 1 year or 2 year, and the second point is the wear down. Basically they will have 20,000 pages or 1 year. So that simply means if you are spending 20,000 pages, you printed 20,000 pages and it has a counter internally, it does not require a software, you cannot fool that. So if you printed 20,000 paper, let's say in 6 months, the company will flat out decline your warranty because it has completed one of those things. Those things are not printed on the box. Please read the manual. That's where that data is. So that is the whole point. Now, because there is liquid in basically ink tank and all that, you have to print once a week. Again, it's just for a safety precaution. And given the fact that print costs are low enough, I'm talking like 50 paisa in case of India, like, and in case of USA, it's like around 8 cents, I think. 8 cents, like you can literally print once a week without, burning a hole in your pocket. And that way, if something breaks, like say your print head gets jammed or ink runs out, you will know it, rather than like, you finding out on like, one crucial moment, hey, I needed some documented pronto, like it's important, bam, your printer is dead. So please print basically once a week, and just print any WhatsApp photo that you find interesting. And if you are doing it for photos, generally Canon has a very good reputation even on their ink tank, that they print very good quality photos. So in those sort of scenario, please utilize the same brand paper for maximum result. Again, you can utilize whatever cheap Chinese paper you want, but if you want the best result, generally companies test their ink with their own paper. So if you want to buy a Canon ink printer, buy a Canon ink and buy Canon paper itself. You are doing with HP, do everything with HP, basically HP ink, HP printer and HP paper. Now otherwise, like do you have any third party option? Well, the best option that you can buy is Kotak papers. Kotak photo papers are generally calibrated with all the printers, so you can buy that, and you have to change the setting in your basically software that comes with your basically printer. So doing that will give you the best result possible. And generally, if you buy either from their own brand, they will also give you a bit more resistance. Basically, you can't wipe out the ink easily. So in those sort of scenario, spend time with your damn manual. Like if you read the manual of any printer, you're like, oh, I should buy this or that. Just read the manual of both of them and you'll be like, damn sure. Because there are many hidden things, like can it do proper duplex printing, basically printing on both sides. Some printer says that they are duplex, but all you have to do is like physically remove the paper and put it back again. That can be done with any printer. So calling it duplex, like, it should be illegal. So that is the whole point. Like, does it have automatic document feeder? Okay, if it is it dual sided? If it's not dual sided, what can you do? Like, is there a system where it can like create a PDF with one pages interval, and you scan the second time and it's like now fills it? All those things can be found in manual. So please read the damn manual. So this was my presentation about basically which printer to select and why people select either ink tank or laser printer. I hope you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I would urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me your extra disappointment, and please leave a comment because I reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.